My name is Vance Farino. I'm a strength and conditioning coach and movement specialist. I've been in practice for over 35 years now. In my practice, my job is to assess how well people can move in what we call three-dimensional space, which is just really the environment we live in. Out in the real world, we have forces pushing on us like gravity, external forces, momentum, and the body's ability to control those matters. It matters for efficiency of movement no matter what it is I want to do, whether I'm running around the range with my firearm or trying to play with my grandchildren. So my job is to assess how well does somebody do that, and then what we're looking at is referred to as a spherical model of movement. And all that means is this: I am 5'10", so if you imagine I have a sphere or a bubble around me, I should be able to get to any point in this bubble, up, down, high, low, and then return with fluidity back to the start. I should be able to put any external load, whether in my hands or on my body, and still be able to manage that. Next, I should be able to take off running, and that sphere is running with me, and again, I can manage that space. When we test people when they're young, they get to every edge of that bubble no matter where we try to test them. And then all of a sudden, we get to people who are older, and all of a sudden, when you see them moving, there's a little bit of uncertainty. They feel off balance, they have no control. So that sphere is shrinking in on them, and that's not good. It does not make for a good quality of life as we age. So my job is to help push that sphere back out for them. In the article you just read and in the videos to follow, we're giving you some very fundamental exercises in order to start building a movement training program. Now, a movement training program is not bodybuilding. It's not muscle isolation. Back in the day, we used to do chest, back, biceps, and triceps, and this is not that. This is about building efficiency of movement. We're training movement patterns, not isolated muscles. So I hope you get a lot out of the article and out of the videos. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me.
So, yeah.
The first drill we're going to take you through, and we call the locomotor series, is a lateral shuffle. Here I'm just moving left and right, feet don't cross. Importance of this is in real life application. If I draw my weapon, I've got to be able to draw my weapon and move offline. So I'm getting off the X, so I'm going to step off and I'm going to try to move myself laterally with smoothness and efficiency. Next, we're going to go into an anterior and posterior shuffle. I'm just going to lead my left foot forward, right leg back, and then switch where the right leg is going to take me back, and then of course forward. Here I am using a posterior shuffle to create distance to get my weapon out. We're now going to use a seated scramble up position. So again, under the assumption I got knocked down to my butt, I've got to be able to get back with some agility and then get myself offline. So here we're going to take the seated scramble up and just move it to a posterior shuffle. Again, I'm trying to create distance between myself and my attacker. So here I just take it a little further where I've rocked to my back. I come up and I'm in a defensive posture. Again, one more time, I'm knocked down, I get rolled to my back, I'm trying to get myself up, back up, draw my weapon as I create that separation. Another way to transition from the ground is what we call a half kneeling to stand. So here I'm just going to rock without using my hands to get off the ground. So now I should have the ability, the strength and mobility in my hips to get myself there to a standing position. And then of course, if I was back and I had to get up like that, I could come up and get into a defensive posture. The 10-yard burst is just an explosive sprint for about 10 yards. You're out, something occurs, you hear a gunshot, and you've got to sprint for cover or position of advantage. Again, I'm going to react to something behind me here. I'm going to take off. I'm trying to create distance. I can also use this in a manner if I had to get my weapon out, all of a sudden something happens, I've reacted to it. I'm starting to move back. I'm taking off on a sprint to clear myself, clear my garment, and get my weapon out. The 30-yard flying start is basically I'm moving before I take off sprinting. The 10-yard burst is from a stop position. Here, I'm actually moving, something that I'm reacting to. I might be backpedaling, I might be lateral shuffling a little bit. I'm trying to see what's happening as I'm moving away, and then I decide to take off and run. We're pushing the sprint out to 30 yards. Again, here, I'm going to come from a seated scramble up position, and I'm going to take off, draw my weapon.
that should give me what I need.
Same thing in this drill, it's just I'm coming from a prone scramble up. I got to drive myself up, take off, and try to get out of harm's way. Rotational power is an important part of any movement program. Here I am using a medicine ball in a circular pattern to load through my hips and legs and explode back up through my upper body. If I was going to throw a punch, I'm throwing it with my whole body driving from the ground. On the diagonal one, I drop into my hip and I'm exploding, again pushing through the ground, round through my core and out through my hands. Any kind of swinging, punching, or pulling is driven in this manner. The physio ball wrestling is really just a great conditioning drill. Again, works through arm grip strength, core strength. So now we're just going to fight for this ball. And usually we'll set a timer. It could be 45 seconds, a minute, or whatever. And just going at it for that period of time. The towel tug of war is a similar drill. Now we're just going to grip that towel. And again, really working grip strength to try to hold on to that. And we're going to fight for this towel. We'll set a timer for however long. And we're just going to go at it, ripping the towel from each other's hands and trying to drag each other across the yard. Pulling is a phenomenal drill to build both shoulder and core strength. Here I'm just doing a low knee cross crawl. Opposite hand to foot is moving, both forward and backward. I could also go to a high hip crawl by driving my hips up and really trying to force the posterior part of my body to have to stretch to get to that position. And again, we're going to move it up and we're going to come back. Lastly, we're going to look at something we call a lizard crawl, sometimes referred to as a Spider-Man crawl. And I'm trying to get really, really low to the ground and just driving myself across. And again, whatever we do forward, we'll do backwards. Lunging is a phenomenal way to start building that spherical model we talked about. In other words, I could step out to any position in this circle, if you will, and then return to center with fluidity. Now in this, I'm just choosing 3 angles. I can lunge without my hands. I can actually throw a hand reach in to drive a chain reaction now through my back. It's driving some rotation in my body. I could also just go into a more pure rotation. I'm going to drive my arms rotationally now as I step through those 3 lunge patterns. So all this is designed to develop my ability to move around this compass or this sphere with fluidity. Explosive jumping, again, this is another important thing. I should be able to jump across something if I had to, just using my arms, my hips to explode. This is a simple standing long jump. So again, I'm going to just drive my whole body, explode forward, and land it. Could take it to the next level by just taking this up onto a box. So again, here I just set up about a 30-inch box. I'm going to explode up onto top of it, come down easy. You could also use a step down if you don't want to step back. Explode up to the top of it. Again, driving through my whole body, driving my hands down and then driving them up and popping, pushing away from the ground. Wall climbers are a great way of driving upper body explosiveness. I'm acting like this is a wall and I'm trying to get over it, just using the plyo box. I'm going with an alternate foot pattern. If I had to step up, I want to know I can get up with either foot and just drive it. I can actually come over the top of the box, explode back up, get on the box, or whatever that is I would have to get over. Arguably one of the most important exercises we could teach ourselves to do is a proper squat. Having the ability to be able to drop my butt below my knees is pretty critical in just general life skills. Now, a lot of us as we age, we lose that ability. From the side angle here, notice I'm going to drive my hips back to initiate it. We don't initiate a squat at the knee. The hips should be driving back. Through the bottom of the squat, I'm keeping my back flat, especially if I had load. Now here, I'm going to just drop into what is referred to sometimes as a primal squat. I'm just going to sit this. I'm going to use this for mobility. I can drop into that position. And as I do here, I'm going to sit down into that position, get my hips low, and I'm just going to shift my weight left and right. It's just going to mobilize my hips as well as my calves to allow me to get down there. Of course, we could add any kind of load. And here I'm just going to use a sandbag. I'm just going to front load myself, and I'm just going to hit my squat from this angle. Of course, bars on the back are all good as well. But but this just gives you a little bit of a different load pattern using the sand. I can go asymmetrical, putting it on one shoulder, and again, squatting with that on one shoulder is going to be different as far as core stability is concerned. Or I could just use something as simple as a weight vest, and with the weight vest, just take myself through my squat patterns.